So we have to talk about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero on the Nintendo Switch 1 and Switch 2. A few hours ago, the official Dragon Ball Games Twitter page announced that there's going to be a new update today for Sparking Zero on both Switch 1 and Switch 2. That's going to be later on today, so let's talk about that. At the end of the video, also, there's going to be a bit of a channel update, so keep that in mind. Hit the like button to support the channel, leave a comment down below to let the algorithm know you want more Nintendo Switch fighting game content, and back to the video. In the Twitter update a few hours ago, they actually put up a link to the patch notes, and for a while it actually redirected you to a dead page. It was a 404 page with nothing on it. It just said that it didn't exist, but a couple hours later I checked it again, the same link, and now it's live, so now we can see what the patch notes are. And well, if you were hoping that this is the update where we finally are gonna start getting the DLC characters, you're gonna be a little bit disappointed, but there are some cool new things incoming with this update. First though, I do have to correct something that I said in another video. I speculated in my last Sparking Zero video that we, meaning us true and faithful Nintendo followers, us who it has been bequeathed upon to share the gospel of Nintendo. Wait, where was I even going with this? Anyway, in one of my last videos about Sparking Zero, I said that Switch 1 and Switch 2 players were gonna have to wait a year for the DLC updates to start rolling in. I was wrong there, I admit it. So we can actually expect the DLC characters to start rolling in within the next couple of months. And it looks like with today's update, if we take a look at the patch notes here, it says the update is going to come out February 19, UTC 1 AM. UTC is Universal Time, so in certain areas of the world it's going to be the 19th when this update comes out, but if you're like me and you're in the greatest country of all time, the United States of America, then 1 AM UTC translates to around 5 PM West Coast time on the 18th. 9 PM East Coast time. Also, speaking of Sparking Zero for the Switch, the game is currently on a 20% off sale on the eShop right now, and that's for both versions of the game, Switch and Switch 2. The regular edition right now is $49, while the Ultimate Edition is $80 instead of $100. As you saw in my review videos, the game runs super good on the Switch 2 and decently enough on the Switch 1. I've got graphics comparisons, and when the update drops within a day or so, I'm gonna do a frame rate comparison as well. But in getting back to the patch notes, when the update drops at 1 AM UTC time, the servers are gonna go down for a period of 1 to 3 hours, and so that means obviously that you're not gonna be able to do ranked matches or custom battles during that period. So if we look down here, this update is going to include a new limited time mode where you're going to be able to fight buffed up characters controlled by the computer. So it seems like this is going to be ridiculously overpowered opponents. To be honest, that does not sound too fun to me. This game's idea of making the CPU strong usually tends to go in the favor of making them damage sponges. So even if you hit them, they kind of just stand there and don't get impacted by any of your punches. And they can just hit you back anytime that they want. It's not my idea of a fun time, to be honest. But maybe I'm wrong. In fact, I think this mode is already available on the other versions and has been for a few weeks. But you know, the Switch and Switch 2 are going to be getting these updates a few weeks late. That's just how things tend to go. There's actually a pretty cool change coming to the Battle Together mode in Offline Versus. If you don't know what that is, like I didn't until just a few minutes ago, that's a mode where you can actually play split screen against a friend in offline mode, or even online, I think. In the current update that we're on right now, you actually only have one option for a stage to play in, and that's obviously the lightest stage in the game, the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. There's not much going on in that stage, and there's hardly any destructible things, so it's a very low CPU intensive stage, so that's the only way that they were able to get the split screen to work, I guess. But with this update, if you're playing this game on the Nintendo Switch 2, you're now gonna have the option of using any stage instead of just being limited to the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. There is a caveat though, this is only for the Nintendo Switch 2. It will work on the old Switch version of the game, but only if you're playing it on the Switch 2. And to be clear, the wording is not exactly the best. It says in the patch notes that if the original Switch version is running on the Switch 2 with the update applied, you will have access to all the stages in the Battle Together mode. What does that mean though? Like, by update, is it referring to the Switch 2 upgrade, or is it only referring to today's update? Either way, this change to the Battle Together mode is skipping the old Switch hardware, and it's not hard to see why. It was a miracle to get this game running on that hardware to begin with, and so to expect it to run what is essentially 2 instances of it at the same time, that might be asking for way too much out of the old Switch. Custom Battle is also going to see a little bit of an update. There's going to be new selectable scenarios, new text options, and new cutscenes as well. So you guys who like to make your own little stories, hopefully they start making sense now, because there were too few text options before. I'm going to have to jump back in and play some custom battles in a few days to see what you guys come up with. The final bit of the patch notes really is just stability improvements, and so no. If you were expecting a 60 frames per second update, this is not going to be it. To be fair though, Bamco has not said that they're even going to do that, but hopefully they do at some point. The Nintendo Switch 2 should be able to handle that with relative ease. So yeah, that's pretty much what you can expect with today's update to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. It's not the coolest thing in the world, but at least we're finally starting to get some attention. Us Switch players have been getting neglected for way too long, and it doesn't feel too good. I gotta be honest, it really doesn't. So this update is gonna go out within a few hours after this video gets published. Interestingly enough, a couple hours after that though, that's when the Virtua Fighter 5 Revo open beta will commence on the Nintendo Switch 2. So that's going to be later on tonight. That's going to be it for this video as far as the game content goes. For a little bit of personal news though, for those of you who care, I haven't been doing too many videos lately because my real life job has kind of been overtaking that stuff right now. So I'm going to have to manage my time more efficiently if I want to keep doing YouTube, so I'm going to be doing a bit of a strategy shift because I need to keep the content rolling. Like, I'm seeing my numbers go down and I don't like that, so I'm going to have to do something about it. So if you do like my content, I do plan on keeping it up. I got a bunch of Mortal Kombat stuff recorded from like over a month ago and just have not had the time to edit it. But right now, you know, it's crunch time. So you're going to be seeing some Mortal Kombat stuff coming within the next few days for sure, as well as Virtua Fighter 5 and WWE 2K26. And Sparking Zero. I've got video ideas, and the plan now is to just knock them out as much as possible in a single day, with only about 8 real working hours where I'm not half asleep. So yeah, I'm Switchplayed done.